It was more than 75 years ago that Arsenault and Fontenot, the best of friends, lived near each other. They used to get out there in the bayous and fish and catch shrimp and such things as that. But times changed. Roads came to their homes where there had never been land, and electricity was pulled down the side of those roads, so they no longer had to use oil lamps to see. There was talk of big tall poles upon which wires would be strung, and people might be able to talk to each other instead of hollering, "Hey, that you over there?" Meaning, "Hello, is that you over there?" Well, it had not happened yet. And of course, Arsenault's wife, Clotilde, she was a beautiful woman, and nothing would please her more than to have an infant, or as we would say, a bebe. Well, Arsenault and her, they've been trying for a long time. Nothing seemed to work. Probably 10 years went by. She began to get depressed, and he knew it. The things had changed so much that instead of fishing on the bayou, those two Cajun men worked at the lumber factory. There was a lot of interest in cypress wood. So one day they came home from work, and Arsenault got dropped off, and he was on the porch, and he saw where father's car was in the driveway. Now, father, of course, was a good Catholic man, good priest, and he stopped on the porch to listen to what Clotilde and father was saying. Clotilde, she was sobbing, and she said, "Father, I don't know. I cannot conceive. It is so hard for me. I feel so awful all the time." And father said, "I will pray for you. But in the meantime, is there anything that would make you feel better? Anything of significance that could be in your life that might give you hope?" And she says, "Well, maybe if I had a halo statue, that might bring me hope." Well, now Arsenault, he heard this, and they were getting a paycheck Friday. And so the day ended at the mill, and Arsenault went with his buddy down to La Ville. La Ville is the city, and the city was New Orleans. Well, they went to the statue place, and they looked hither and yon until they found the Blessed Virgin statue. Plenty of Cajuns have those. The crown on her head, sometimes a halo up here, and a beautiful blue cape. Her hands folded in prayer. He bought that thing and brought it home. He said, "Clotilde, come see what I got you here." And she came outside and she looked at it and she said, "That's nice." I said, "Oh," he knew he had not given her exactly what she wanted. Well, 2 weeks later, he thought, "Well, I'll trade this in. We'll go back to La Ville and buy something bigger and better." And so again, they got paid. And he took his paycheck and he looked all over them statues, little ones, big ones, but he wanted a religious statue. And he found St. Francis of Assisi. Now, everybody in the Cajun land loves St. Francis of Assisi. So he got that one. It was almost 5 feet tall, and it had the blessed little animals at his feet. And Arsenault could just imagine putting that in the front yard and building a garden around it, and that would cheer up his Clotilde. So he brought that home and he said, Clotilde, baby, come here. I want to show you what I got you. And she came outside and he unwrapped it. And he said, look here, St. Francis of Assisi. Well, she looked at it and she said, that's nice. And he thought, well, I have struck out again. So again, 2 weeks later, when they got the paycheck, they packed up that St. Francis of Assisi statue and they put it in the back of that pickup truck and they drove to La Ville. And this time, money was no object. No, didn't make any difference what they spent. Even if he had to stop duck hunting for a week and run out of bullets, that would be okay. Something to make his girl feel good. And he went in there and he looked this way and that way. He could not find nothing. So they went to another bigger statue place. And this time he found the perfect statue. It was the Blessed Heart of Jesus statue. I mean, that sucker was 6 feet tall, and it had Jesus with a beard and long flowing hair, and he had on a ruby red robe, and you know his shirt was opened up, and there was that heart with the cross on it, and that blood just a trickling, not too far, but just enough to give it drama. Oh man, there was gold braid around the sides of that robe. Oh, this has got to be it. So they wrapped it up, and in fact, they put it in cardboard to make sure it didn't slide around, didn't get hurt. And they drove back, and when they got home, they saw that Clotilde had her girlfriends over. They were having a what they call a party or a fête. Well, those women were just chit-chatting away, and that gave those two men time to make a beautiful garden. So they made a circle and added some white rocks and put in some begonias, and then they set that Blessed Heart of Jesus statue in the middle with that halo. And he went inside and he said, ladies, I got to show you what I got my girl. Now, Clotilde, I need you to close your eyes. I'm going to take you out in the yard and show you the best thing yet. Well, now they walked into the yard. He took her around the front. He told her to stand right here and now open your eyes. And she looked at that. She looked up and she looked down. That's nice. He said, what is with you, woman? I have bought you 3 statues, and I know you want that because I heard you speaking to the priest a while ago, and you said what would make you happy. And so I went out and bought these halo statues. She said, Arsenault, you so dumb. You know, the world is changing, man, and I tell you what I really want and what I told that priest. You know, they're pulling them lines down to the house, and one of them things that sits by the side of the bed on the nightstand. And when my friend Louise, she ring me on the phone and go, ring, ring, and I pick it up and I say, hello, statue.